We left off yesterday with man's greatest joy, according to Genghis Khan, to pursue your enemy, to kill them, to steal their stuff, to make their beloved weeps. Now, we're going to look at some of who the Mongols were and some of the military conquests they have. Now, the biggest reason for their, well, one of the biggest reasons for their success is the fact that they're going to be so quick. You know, they're going to move 60 to 80 miles a day. Now, that doesn't sound very fast to someone who can hop in a car and in a couple hours be significantly further than that. But remember that these guys, they're on horseback. Even a contemporary army, meaning an army of that time, of the 12s, 1300s, they'd probably only go 30 miles on horseback. Most armies, if they were lucky, went 5 to 15 miles. I think about World War I, which was almost entirely static on the Western Front, going maybe a mile after a couple weeks. Or you think about World War II, which was much more mobile, had tanks and trucks, and still typically armies were not going at that kind of speed. Now, ways that they were able to achieve this speed, well, they only rode female horses so that they could milk them and drink the horse's milk, which is something that might be okay, but sounds kind of gross to me. I've never tried mare's milk, and most people probably haven't. But another thing that they would do too, so say you're riding and you need a drink while you're riding, they would literally cut the horses and put a cup up to the gash, collect the blood, and drink the blood of the horse as they went. I mean, can you imagine that? Sounds horrible, but they would do that so they continue going fast. To go and accommodate their incredible speed and the huge vastness of their territory, they even created a mail system that made it so that they could transmit their messages from Khan Balik, which is present-day Beijing, all the way to the places that they've conquered up to Europe, and do it within only a matter of days to be able to get the information across quickly. We can see from this picture here some of the equipment that the Mongols had. Now, the Mongol equipment is going to change over time. Their most famous weapon, of course, is going to be their recurve bow, which they are going to be accurate up to 200 meters away, 656 feet. Now, this isn't just the fact that they could stand still and shoot an arrow 656 feet away and hit something. This is while they are on, horseback, going at full gallop. They're able to hit things that far away. This is unheard of. Unheard of. So it's just unbelievable the things that they would go and do. And I mean, just for your reference, so 656 feet, a yard is 3 foot, 100 yards is a football field. So 2 football fields away, they could hit a target while they're going on horseback, super duper fast. Yeah. So anyways, back to their kit. When the Mongols started off, literally their clothes were made of field mice skins, all sewn together. So think about those little tiny mouse skins, hundreds of them sewn together for their clothes. And they would basically wear it until it disintegrated off them. The Mongols were very dirty. They didn't wash very much because they were always going. And the stories are that you could actually smell the Mongols from miles away coming, just the stench that they would have. But after they conquer China, I mean, they're going to be wearing Chinese silks. Although they're still going to typically not bathe much and still wear them until they disintegrate. But so they would wear leather armor. They might have a leather shield, and under it they would have, either silk or cloth or something. And the many layers would help prevent arrows from being able to penetrate through. But they had lots of different weapons, swords, lances. They're going to start using Chinese gunpowder, battle axes. They're basically going to go and take advantage of whatever inventions that their enemies they conquered had. They would use them for their own devices. So what are some of the places they conquered? So they conquered northern China in 211 CE, not all of China, just part of the northern part. The historians at that time say that they did so much damage that killed so many people that the streets, it was slippery with grease of the fat and flesh of the people that they killed. But the streets, it was hard to walk. Then they wind up going and making a peace treaty with the Khwarizmi Empire, which is going to basically be a place in modern-day Persia, today Iran. And everything seems great about it, but then a Mongolian caravan winds up getting attacked. Genghis Khan, or Genghis Khan, sends ambassadors to go try to work it out, say that there needs to be recompense for this dastardly act of attacking a caravan. And the Khwarizmi governor says no, and actually kills the envoy sent by Genghis Khan. Of course, this is exactly what you do not do to Genghis Khan, and he winds up then going on a campaign to destroy the entire empire, where entire cities are completely killed. I'm talking every single man, woman, and child. Every single man, woman, and child. And we're talking about up to millions of people at a time. And the way they would do it is they would assign, each soldier to say you had to collect 100 ears. And what they would do is after they went and took a life, they would go and remove the ear. And they actually had big bags of them and sent them back to Khan Balik to be counted. Now, Genghis Khan, however, is going to pass away. He is not going to be immortal. He makes that mistake. Everybody seems to make that rookie mistake. Everybody does their first life and passes on. And so what they do is they call a Kurultay, which is when all of the Mongols come together to vote to see who should be the next great Khan. And the way they vote basically is, so, Rajvir, he has all of his Mongol riders, and Iris has all of her Mongol riders, because, yes, they were female Mongol warriors. We'll talk about Kutalin later on, and Joe will have his Mongol riders, and, Hayden will have his. And whoever has the most soldiers that goes on, wants their leader to be the ruler, becomes the leader. Now, they'll give speeches, and sometimes, like, Rajvir's riders will go join with Iris and things like that. And so there's this Kurultay to decide who will be the next Mongol ruler. Actually, at this time, it's really interesting. There's a guy, John of Plano Caprini. He goes to try to find someone called Praetor John. Now, Praetor John, if you listen, kind of rhymes with Genghis Khan, doesn't it? So we have the old, you've all played that game Telephone, where like someone whispers something into one ear and then, they whisper, and how the story changes over time. Well, the Khwarizmi Empire was a Muslim empire. And at this time, Europeans that are Christian are battling Muslims of the Middle East to control the city of Jerusalem. It's called the Crusades. We're going to talk about it at the end of the year. And these Crusades, it was a religious fight, this idea of Christendom versus Islam, and who is the rightful owner of the city of Jerusalem, which they called the Holy Land. And Europeans heard that in this distant land, there's a king, Praetor John, who is battling Muslims. So they assume, oh, well, clearly they're fighting a crusade as well, because this is much bigger than just this plot of land, and that obviously Praetor John wants to help us in our quest. Well, it's actually Genghis Khan, and Genghis Khan had nothing to do with that. He was just battling them because of the whole trade deal that went south. But Praetor John winds up going and being false, and John Plano Caprini meets Ogedai Khan, the new Khan. And of course, he's like, oh, the Pope wants you to join sides and swear fealty to him. And he's like, no, the Pope could swear fealty to me. During this time, too, actually, there's supposed to be a peaceful time. But the Europeans there, they notice all these weapons and these wagons. And they're like, hey, why are all these weapons and battle axes and stuff in here? And of course, it turned out there was supposed to be a violent uprising that just by accident winds up getting sought out. Anyways, Ogedai Khan becomes the next Khan. And he then goes and manages to conquer all of Russia, which Russia is pretty huge. Once again, we'll have instances where they wind up wiping out entire cities, and it's just horribleness. But Ogedai had a big problem. Ogadai was an alcoholic. He was a drunk. He drank way too much alcohol. Their favorite drink was a fermented mare's milk. So I guess like a milk wine or something. It sounds super duper gross. Anyways, it was such a problem that his advisor, Rachel Kahn, says, you know, you should only have one drink a day, Ogadai, because this is too much. It's bad for you. It's going to kill you. And then Ogadai says, okay, I'll just have one drink a day. So then he goes to London Con, his goldsmith, and she makes him a giant. Like when I say giant, I'm talking about like hold your arms out like that, big goblet that he would fill. And he's like, well, I'll just have one drink a day, but it's going to be this thing. And it was just this like comically huge drink. And he winds up dying right around when the time the Mongols reached Vienna because he drank too much alcohol. And so Ogadai dies, and the Mongols, they stop. Like literally, they're at the gates of Europe. They're at Vienna, so Eastern Europe. If they could have kept on going and conquered all of Europe, but when Ogadai dies, they call a quarrel-tide, and they go back once again to pick the next great Khan, which will be Möngke Khan, which is going to be Genghis's grandson. And under Möngke, they're going to wind up destroying the city of Baghdad. They don't even conquer Baghdad. They literally go in, destroy it, raze it to the ground. I mean, they fill in the irrigation fields with dirt so that they can't farm there anymore. They sow this land with salt. And Baghdad still today, it used to be one of the greatest cities in the world, and now it's not. You know, it's a large city, but it doesn't have anything like it once did. That's after hundreds of years because the Mongols destroyed it so badly. So that's going to be our notes for today. So a little bit about the Mongols. I mean, ruthless. I mean, they would annihilate a whole city, and then they'd come back 3 days later to see if anybody was left alive, if anybody was going and cleaning up, trying to bury the dead, and then kill them too. It was brutal. So not a super happy topic, but almost fascinating with the horrificness of it. We're going to get into more about the Mongols. If you thought these stories were crazy today, tomorrow we'll have even crazier ones, believe it or not. I'm going to stop the recording now. Are there any questions?